So let's talk a little bit about the meat and potatoes and the science behind FreeFall and the philosophy behind why this works. Okay? So let's begin by discussing what FreeFall really is. So if we were to talk about the motto of FreeFall, which is Dare to Live, we know that FreeFall is all about realizing our human potential. It's a nudity therapy at its very finest. Now, this is really drawing on the science that comes from bioenergetic therapy. In the individual assessment exercise, and that happens for everybody in the class, sometimes watching other people's exercises are actually even more powerful than watching your own or doing your own, which is extremely powerful, as you've just heard me mention my own experience. But literally what we see happening within the body, within the soul, within every single layer of us, energy, physical, mental, emotional, is that our hearts can get wounded by things that happen. So this can start really way back in childhood and infancy and in the womb. And these woundings in our heart and in our pelvis can change our sexuality. They can change how we behave, which is really what sexuality is. We often confuse what that word really means. Sometimes people hear the word sexuality and they think, oh my goodness, isn't that just what happens in the bedrooms of married men and women? Or maybe not quite that naive, but they certainly start to get a little like, oh, is this okay to talk about? So let's talk about what sexuality really is in terms of our sexual energy. This is your very life force. It's the force that animates your body. It's the force that expresses who it is you are without inhibition, without holding back, without fear of judgment, and without restraints. So that's a lot of things. Your sexual energy also heals you. So without sexual energy moving through your body, you simply cannot heal any illness, any symptom. So is sex necessary? You bet it is. Our sexual blockages are often related to every single major disease and every single genetic issue that exists today. So there's a lot that we get to look at here. So over a period of time, as we were saying, our hearts and our pelvises get wounded. Well, what do they get wounded with? These are our belief systems. So our sexual energy, primarily all those belief systems around them all, are contained within the pelvis, and they'll lock up those areas on all levels. In the heart, this is your area of harmony, of safety, of trust, of acceptance. So if we were to see then how we've been brought up and how we've been taught over time in these areas, we'll notice that we're not maybe as in touch with some of these areas as we could be. We get a little bit of low self-esteem, and we often want to go check out a seminar and learn a little bit more about it when they start to create some problems, or we see problems with our relationships and our worlds with others. So the actual musculature of our heart and the connective tissue is taking neuropeptides. So this is the work from Candace Pert, who writes Molecules of Emotions. Excuse me. And if there's strong emotions about the heart factors, which is again all about that safety, that trust, that acceptance, then those things actually go down to the cells, they attach, and they cause dysfunction. So they cause limitations in circulation, they cause limitations in drainage of lymph, they cause communication issues within the nerve supply. So they're going to dysfunction on every level down to the absolute DNA. So if we're taking a look then at how it is we are experiencing things, these are all the factors that inhibit our heart-brain function as well. So at that higher self, that supramental level, if that's all blocked up with those neuropeptides, the chemicals of our emotions, then it's just going to affect the way our absolute brain works, the way that we relate and everything like that. So when what people don't realize is that buildup creates a very dense morphogenetic field, and that actually carries a physical component to it. So this actually impedes the heart cells, which is a pretty serious thing when it's limiting that function. So in advanced bioenergetic work that FreeFall works with, we're able to get down to this level very quickly and very easily. Now that happens by setting the stage for which you feel vulnerable. You know those times where you maybe had to give a presentation or a speech or something that got you just a little bit nervous. Those are the times when all your heart started to flutter. That's literally this building up of energy to help move you through that blockage. So if you have fears or trepidations about this idea of undressing, then brilliant. That's what it's designed to do. That's very normal to have, and I'd be worried if you didn't have just a little bit of something going on. Okay. So if we were to take a look, then that flutter that's happening is literally the mobilization of this dense morphogenetic field to release these restrictions. So that conflict that you feel, that scared, nervous, tension energy is actually here to serve you. The tragedy is that we often go, oh, no, and we walk away and say, no, that's not for me. And that's certainly really easy to do. I know I did it for years after hearing this idea of this course being naked. I thought, that's great, let them go do their thing, that's certainly not for me. And I don't even think I really said that's great. It was more like, that sounds absolutely horrifying. Thank you, but no thank you. So it was a really interesting journey to step into this place of, I'm going to do whatever it takes to heal, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to fully step into all of me, hairs, warts, and all, and learn to love every ounce of it. Okay, so with our technique then we're going to dislodge those neuropeptides. They'll literally die within seconds now that they have no longer anything to attach to. And the kidneys and the lymph system will send it out through those kidneys. And we're going to change that structural integrity of the cells to open them up and clear all the stuff away that's inhibiting it. This is going to enable our heart brain to function normally, keeping harmony in the body again. And not only in the physiological sense, but in that psychological and emotional functions, including all those factors of being able to regulate and relate to yourself and the people around you. So you simply cannot feel good with your heart or truly say you're at peace with yourself, that you're happy with yourself, that you're in love with yourself, if this heart is chock-a-block full of all those anxieties, tensions, emotions, and neuropeptides. So we're doing a very strong energy therapeutic technique. The only others who do this are bioenergetic workers. Now they take quite a bit longer to do this. We pack it into a weekend because we're using very advanced forms of this, thanks to the brilliance of Dr. John Valentine founding this work in his early 20s, which I think is pretty incredible. So if you're nervous about this idea, having to undress, again, remember that that's just here to serve you. That's here to amplify these energies of nervousness, to use that tool to release and unhook you. Okay. So there's really quite sound scientific principles to doing what we're doing, and this whole business of moving energy fields around is very scientific. So the technique is vital, it's interactive, it's very powerful, and it's very supportive. You're going to be in a supportive environment so that when you're opened up, you're going to feel very comfortable about expressing that. Okay? And you'll be more comfortable as you learn in the course by being vulnerable, because what we'll be showing you in the course is that in vulnerability, that's actually how you receive your strength, and that's how you receive support. Vulnerability is your strength. It's often mistaken for a weakness. So I won't rehash Brené Brown's TED Talk on vulnerability here, but I highly suggest checking that out. Okay, so we also mentioned that we work a lot with the pelvis. And in this pelvis, we build up a lot of fears, a lot of pressures, a lot of anxieties, and the presence of the neuropeptides and these emotions can literally cause contractions of the muscle that can lead to erectile dysfunctions, to poor sexual function, to lack of drive, to pelvic problems, to low back pain. There's an awful lot of issues that happen here. So this vitality, the sexual energy that's stored in the pelvis requires the energy of the heart, and the heart requires the energy of the pelvis. This pelvic heart circulation tuning into and releasing of is what's going to continue to serve you long after the seminar. This is but the very beginning of a whole new way of being.